Let's get it. Let's get it. Ooh, y'all keep what y'all like on over here. Yes. Yes. How's the food, you guys? How's the food? Food good? Will it keep you? Will it keep you? And, come on. So we're in the zone now. Y'all are ready for the game. And I just want to give you guys a quick background of how we kind of got into this conversation. So again, Isaiah came, and how old are you, say? 21? 20? Ooh. 20 years old, and said, I can do youth Sunday. And I just want to commend him, first of all, because he could be doing anything else, but he decided that he wanted to lead us, lead people who are older than him, who may be more seasoned than him, and he said, I can do this. And so we met last Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? We met one of the days, and we were talking about just today. And the conversation at the table got so litty. I mean, the mothers were in the other room trying to figure out what we were talking about. And we were like, stay out of it because this is going to be good. We need to save it. But I love how God works because he kind of brings things together for you. Sometimes when you're trying to figure out, how he wants you to minister something, he'll use the simplest of things. Even in the Bible, we see how Jesus has used parables to kind of break things down for us. So we were sitting down at the table, and Miss Marcy finished up an awesome series on Sunday, just talking about the emotions and things like that. And so that last week, we were all really, really just delving into joy. And we were delving into really just how really got to get our power back. Because the week before that was very sad. It was very sad. No pun intended. But after that, we delved into joy and we started to get our focus back, I think. And so sitting down at the table, God was just having me ask Zay questions. And mainly questions about what it is that he wanted to talk about. So I said, okay, Holy Spirit, lead them. You know how mamas do, lead the children, oh God. So I said, okay, Zay, so what are you thinking about? What are the two topics, or what's been on your mind? And Zay, I kind of want you to talk about the main topic that we're going to talk about today, just from your point of view, what you feel like the Lord is leading us to talk about.
Most was focus. Focus. And I kind of got an acronym, and the acronym I have for focus is follow one course until successful.
That's how the conversation started off at the table, y'all. We were like, you're deep. So follow one course until successful, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about following one course. And of course, we got to be very thematic here. So our topic today is get in the zone, okay? Get in the zone. Focus in on what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So before we even get started, Zay, I'm going to have you pray and then we'll get into the conversation, okay?
Dear Heavenly Father, we love you so much, and we're so thankful for everything that you do for us, Lord God. We ask that we all open our hearts and our minds to this message today, Lord God, so that we are able to not only use it for ourselves, but able to share it to other people that are in need of this, Lord God. We love you so much, and we ask that you use us as vessels today, Lord God. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So we have this split up in between three sections. And so we're going to talk about before the game. And Zay is our football extraordinaire here. So of course, being a bunch of girls sitting at the table, we want to get more into football. So we just started asking a lot of questions. And so, Zay, one of the questions I asked you was, before the game, what is your coach like? Like, just be very candid. What, in any coaching situation that you've been a part of, because you've been a part of several teams, what is the coach like before you even get on the field in practice mode? Explain to me how that is.
Well, at first, he'll probably just come in and look everybody in the eye, like with a stern look. Almost like he has something to say, but he just want to see how everybody's energy is. Then after that, he'll probably give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair, and then after that, he always tries to see the energy. Then he'll probably give a motivational speech. He'll kind of make it kind of brief, because when it comes game time, if you're not ready on game day, then you're just not ready. That's just all it is.
Oh yeah, we like all that. Ooh, keep doing that. Yeah. So you said something, if you're not ready on game day, it just is what it is. So what goes into preparing for a game? You shaking your head already, dang. But what goes into preparing for a game? Let's get into the nitty gritty of that.
Well, it's a lot of film study. So that's film study is when you're watching your opponent, seeing what things they do good, what things they do bad, and other than that, you practice, you work out, you practice again, you practice some more on top of that. It's a whole lot of focus that you have that involves going through that. Like you have to focus. Any second that you take off, your opponent might be outworking you, so you have to put that in the back of your mind.
Okay, so before a game, do you guys like ever at any point scout out your opponent, and what does that look like?
Well, yeah, when we watch film, we also we have like scouting reports on like certain players, like certain key players that might have a effect on the game. Yeah, other than that, when it comes game time, you might look across the field and be like, oh yeah, he looks kind of big, but you don't fear anybody out there. You just pumped and ready to go.
Cool. So what you're saying is y'all put an opponent on the board, and you basically just analyze it. Cool. So we're gonna do that today. Everybody has something that they face, an opponent, and we want you guys to write it on your dry erase board.
Yes, you have all of you guys have dry erase
So
boards.
this will be your dry erase boards. It could be a phrase or a word that you can put on there.
What is that one thing that when you are trying to get in the zone and focus on that thing, get that thing done, that opponent is just blaring. It could be, again, like Kiana said, a phrase, a word, whatever. Write that down. You need a board? Who else needs a board? Yes, if you could give that to her, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Everybody have a board, everybody have a marker. Awesome, so we're gonna give y'all some time to do that. Everybody has something
in their life.
In your life. And there's one thing that always seems to grip you a little bit more than the other things. Everybody has one thing. We want you to write that one thing down. Y'all quick over here? Yes. Yes, y'all quick. When you finish, just give me a yeah. Yeah. Okay, this side is done. Okay, great.
Write it nice and big, please.
So we can see it. Yeah.
No chicken scratch.
Clear.
Well, guys, we do have some Facebook Livers back here, too. What up, Facebook Livers? I'm sorry, I forgot to even include y'all in the thing. Yes, if you're watching at home, make sure that you pull out a pen, sheet of paper, or even your iPhone, because we are millennials and we have ours up here, too. Write down that one opponent that you face within your daily life so that you can be interactive with us.
And if you guys don't mind, go ahead and type it in so we can all know what it
Yeah.
is. That'd be great.
That'd be amazing. We're so technological. On the count of 3, I want you guys to hold up your opponent, all right? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ooh. All right, we got church.
Yep.
We got procrastination,
Anxiety,
Complacent,
shame,
self-doubt,
pain and work,
strategy, distraction,
thieves,
complacent, shame,
enemy,
self-defeat strategy,
procrastination,
Jesus. What was that one in the back?
thief, enemy.
The enemy, procrastination. What was this one right here? Yours, right here. Distraction. Wow. Wow. Okay, so when you wrote that thing down, did it feel like, ooh, like, oh my God. When we were sitting down talking about this, it's interesting because we knew that some of the ones that you guys put up were going to be ones that we all pretty much deal with in this day and age. It's just kind of a cultural thing. And so we picked out 7 of them and said they're the 7 most prominent opponents. And it's not to say that yours isn't relevant, but we want you to kind of look at these and we're going to scout these things out. We're going to see what they bring to the table, okay? And the 7 that we have, that we brought, that are always coming up against us are these ones. Go ahead, Kiana.
So we have fear, anxiety, pride, laziness, excuses, guilt, shame, low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem. Those are generally the 7 that at any point of your life, we've all come up against something like this that has held us back from completing our goal or getting in the zone. Are we right about that? Yeah. All right, so here's the thing. We're an applicable church. That's one thing we always say every single Sunday. We don't just come in here and we don't just hear the word and then go home and we don't know how to use it. That's not our premise. We take what God is telling us and we implement it into our lives. And so we're going to scout out our opponent. We're going to figure out who he is and see what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are. We're going to go through all of these. And I'll start with the first one. This is our first opponent. This is fear. And fear feels like he's 375 pounds on contact. When that thing hits you, he's coming for you, right? But his actual weight is about 5 pounds wet. Okay, that's actual weight. So keep this in mind. Keep this in mind because I've dealt with fear before, and it can be very crippling. But we know in the Word of God that the Bible says that that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Correct? So if He says that, you can't be this big. You just can't be. So I'm gonna start thinking and understanding that fear is about 5 pounds wet when He comes and rolls up to me. Amen. So here are fear's strengths. He loves to exaggerate the negative. He loves to creep in at weak moments, and he for sure loves to waste my time. Anybody agree with that? Anybody agree with that? Fear is just a waste of your time. But here are fear's weaknesses. Positivity. Fear can never stand in the way when you just choose optimism. When you choose joy. Thank you, Miss Marcy. Fear doesn't stand a chance. Another one, and this is the biggest one I think, is the truth. Fear always comes with what my mom would say, the opposite of truth. If you want to know the truth when fear is coming, flip whatever it's saying on its head, is what my mom says. The truth, fear can't stand up against it. And then the last one, faithful people. People that are full of faith, fear has no way that it can penetrate our lives. Would you agree? All right, so we're moving on to our next one.
So our next opponent is anxiety. Weight feels like a trauma on contact. Actual weight is 2.5 pounds wet. Strength, being dramatic, blows everything out of proportion, wastes times again, loves control. Weaknesses, peace, order, and trust.
So I saw anxiety in the room. And that's one that I've dealt with for a while. And I would say the biggest one that anxiety, and when we were talking about this, anxiety thrives off of needing to know everything and know how things are going to be planned out and likes to plot and know the beginning. Really fear likes to be the alpha and omega. Like it likes to play God. And that's the biggest thing that I found about anxiety. What else with you guys have you kind of maybe have seen in your own life when it comes to experiencing anxiety's effects on you?
For me, it would be not knowing the next step. So when I don't know the next step, for me it was control. I need to know everything, step by step, because if I don't know it, I'm not going to do it. And that's the thing, and I can't have that when I say that I trust God. Because if you don't trust God fully, you won't have order nor peace, because that stuff doesn't come from you.
All right. She said all. Did she say all? All right. Let's move on to our next one.
So we got the big boy pride. Weight is 5 pounds on contact. Actual weight is 500 pounds. The strength is stubbornness, closed-mindedness, control, false intelligence, and the weakness is humility and total surrender.
So let's stop on this one because this is the one that when we were talking about it, we wanted to highlight the weights of these. And so you notice with the other ones, they felt like they were heavier than they really were. They felt like they carried more weight. But with pride is very deceptive. And it feels like it's not a big deal. Its biggest thing is like, it just creeps in. It creeps in on you, and sometimes you don't even know that you're walking in pride. But the weight of pride and the cost of pride is way more than what it appears. Way more than what it appears. And so we just kind of wanted to highlight that and make sure that we just kind of put a pin on that. Go ahead, King Money.
I think for me, what stood out is the fact that the weakness is humility and total surrender. For me, that screams like just vulnerability, like how you have to totally surrender over to God, and knowing that He is the He's the know-it-all for real. Like He knows it all. And it reminded me of the coach. Like when you're in the field and you're doing your thing, you have to rely on what your coach is telling you because you know that He sees the big picture, and that you can only see so much being in the moment. So that's what stood out to me.
Snaps. I told y'all they weren't regular kids. Like, they're so deep and intellectual. Oh my God. Jeez. Hey, you got anything to say that? You think she did that too?
Yeah, I would think for pride, how it says strict and closed-mindedness. Like when your pride's so big, somebody might be trying to deliver you a blessing, but since your pride's so big, you might actually miss your blessing because you might think what they're saying is irrelevant, but in actuality, they're really trying to help you out.
So good. You block it. Pride blocks you. That's good. You good? I like y'all oohs and ahs. Let's go to the next one.
Laziness. Weight, 4 pounds on contact. Actual weight, 475 pounds. Strength, justification, comfortability, excuses, fear, and pride. Weakness, purpose, discipline, and determination.
Yeah. So last night we were going on this, we were like, dang.
I think we found the common suspect, I should say, is fear and pride. And that's the two major things that we all deal with, either fear or pride. And I think the biggest one is fear. And when it creeps in, we get complacent and we find excuses as to why we can't do it. But really we won't tell the truth and say, this scared me, or I got up on stage and I said something and the way they were looking at me messed me up, so I don't want to go back up there no more. We can't be honest with ourselves and how we feel, so we make excuses for ourselves.
All right. Wow.
Here, sister.
Yeah, that's a
It's the truth. And basically, we'll turn to laziness instead of turning to transparency and saying, you know what, I'm dealing with this. This is what I'm dealing with, and this is, like Kiana said, this is why I'm afraid to step out. So instead, it's too hard sometimes in our culture to be vulnerable. So we'll just choose to not walk in the thing that God has given us. We were talking last night, and the Holy Spirit gave something to me. He said, you know, if God has given you a gift, it's not for you to sit on it, it's for you to act it out. Yeah. And a lot of us, we have gifts, but we're lazy in our gifts. And when we think of laziness, we think of just being slothful, we think of sleep, we think of just kind of walking slow. But no, laziness a lot of times is attributed to just dormancy. Yeah. Not moving would be considered lazy. Wow. And so I want to pose this question to you guys. What areas of your life are you being lazy in? That you are obviously gifted to do. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna put them on blast. I've already said it, it's singing for me. I know good well in the third that singing is something that God has blessed me to do. He's blessed me to go places. He's blown my mind with the arenas that he puts me in. But it's that one experience of fear, insecurity, my voice getting all trembly, you know, those things keep me lazy. I allow them to keep me lazy and not walking it out. However, through the transparency, God is helping me to use his strength in that area. And I think that's another thing. When you're transparent about it and you don't just choose to be lazy, you don't just give in to laziness, you allow the power of God to come in and show you his strength in it. It's really not about how great you are and how good you are at it. It's always an opportunity for God to come in and infiltrate that thing that is seemingly trying to stop you from acting, because God always wants to get the glory to the things that he's given you. Yeah. He always wants to, he's always giving you a gift so that he can get the glory. That's the only reason why you have it. It's not for your clout. It's not for your advancement in life. Never get it twisted as a child of God. It's always for God to get the glory. And so there are some things that we're taking and we're hoarding them as if it's just something that I do, not understanding that, no, it's something that's been given to you. Therefore, if I give you something, I'm expecting for you to do something with it. And it's the same thing with God. When God gives you a gift, when he's giving you a talent, when he's giving you, and it doesn't have to be something like in entertainment, it can be even something as simple as the gift of organization, the gift of administration, the gift of joy. Because I'm going to tell you right now, in 2018, being joyful is a gift. And if you just have it naturally, I'm serious. We have so much going on. There's some people that you see them every day and you're like, God, you are amazing. Like, that's a gift that God has given. Let's think simple. God has given each one of us something that he wants us to use for his glory. Have we been lazy with it? Just think about that throughout this week, and we're going to move on to the next one. The next one, which I think is a friend of laziness, is excuses. And excuses, he's about 5 pounds on contact. It feels good to make an excuse. To say, I ain't got time. That's mine. I ain't got the time, which means I really don't want to deal with it because it stresses me out. So it's easy, you know, a 5 pound weight, we can lift that all day. It don't mean nothing. We feel like we're really getting something done with a 5 pound weight, but we're really not. But the actual weight of excuse is 200 pounds. And the reason, justification, it keeps you comfortable, it keeps you in fear, and it keeps you anxious. I have never felt relieved after I make an excuse. I always go back to why I made the excuse. How did people believe the excuse that I just made?
That's what the guilt sets in.
Go ahead, Kimon. Yeah, go ahead, Kimon. Talk about that.
Like a lot of times you make an excuse, but then you, in the back of your head, you know what you said, you knew it was an excuse, but you wanted to do it anyway. You said it anyway because you knew you didn't want to do whatever you wanted to do. So a lot of times that's when guilt sets in, and a lot of other emotions set in, and it's just better to just avoid it. Just do whatever it is that you need to do.
And going from there, what popped in my head was, you never know the actual weight of something until you actually have to deal with it. So when you sit in that room and you thought about, dang, I made that excuse, that's when that weight starts coming on real heavy. And the more that you have on that weight, the harder it is for it to come off. So it's better that when you have confidence that you're able to go ahead and get it out there. When you hold it on, it builds. It builds. When you say it out loud, you see how small it is afterwards.
So good. She's so profound. She's so good. She really is above my mind every time. And the weaknesses of excuses, discipline and commitment. I've never seen someone who's disciplined make a load of excuses. I've always seen somebody who's kind of lackadaisical have all the excuses. I've been one of those people. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I was telling the girls last night that past seasons of my life, I was the queen of it. The queen. I mean, clothed in all this glory with the excuses. I was. I made all the excuses as to why I couldn't do something. And then in this season of my life, the discipline is crazy to where it's like, literally, we'll be in here. We were here, till 11:30 last night, and I'm just like, if it can get done now, let's do it now. Why not? It's the space and opportunity for it right now. And to have experienced both sides of that, it shows me where I'm most powerful. When I'm disciplined and when I'm committed, when an excuse comes up against me, I have a counter for it. It's easy because I'm so committed to getting whatever it is. I'm so committed to getting it done. And so I want to ask you a question because I was talking to your mom and I was telling her how you're such an amazing player. Not because you're on the field now, but because of the things that you were doing before you got on the field. Zay would literally get up, back in the day, and probably still now, he and my brother would have, I don't know if there's such thing as man sleepovers, but they would have their little penthouse moments, and Zay would be up at the crack of dawn. And we have this huge field across in the other subdivision. Zay would be up and he would make a football field out of this vacant field. And he would practice for hours. I mean, he probably didn't even know I was paying attention. But I would hear that chime go off every morning that he'd be spending the night. And he would be practicing, just working his body out before he even got to where he is now, to being on what would you call it, a collegiate team? He was doing that before. So I want to ask you, what does it take to have that type of discipline? Because that's a no excuse type mentality, right? What does it take for you to do that as an athlete?
Well, I feel like when you're committed to something, no matter what obstacles are in your way, you're going to find a way to make a way. Like when you understand your purpose, there's nothing that nobody can take that from you. Like it can be just like David and Goliath. David saw that Goliath was huge, but he didn't make no excuse. At the end of the day, he got the job done. So I'm just trying to living my purpose. That's really all.
Yeah. Ain't he good, y'all? Ain't he good? So, but that's so good because we were talking about David and Goliath, and the thing about it is just kind of paralleling it to you and how you practiced before you even got, to the actual field. You just used what you had. You didn't need the coach there. You didn't need, you just used what was in your possession. Whether that was like elastic bands or, you had like, I remember you would have like the ankle weights, and you just use the simple things to maintain your stature and maintain your chops. Why is that important to just use what you got?
I think it's important just using what you have because sometimes, well, basically, I feel like if you stay ready, when your time comes, you're going to be ready. You don't have to prepare yourself. That's right. So I just try to always stay ready no matter when my time comes. I know it's going to come eventually. So I just try to stay ready.
That's good. And I feel like a lot of times we're not cognizant of the time is coming for all of us. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, the time is coming where you're going to be called to use what you got. You guys know I went on the road for about 3 days, and it was so quick, and it was a professional situation, me singing and things like that. And I remember in that moment, I had a day to learn all of these songs, and literally it was like, learn them today, show tomorrow, on flights the next day. And I remember thinking back to when I was like 13 at my old church, how there was one person, I would consider him my coach. He trained me how to learn things quickly, how to retain things quickly. And I'm saying this to say we've all been in a place, or we're maybe in a place right now where it's a learning opportunity. You're learning something where you are right now that is going to come in handy when that time comes, because everyone has some expected time where God is going to do something in your life for his glory. It happens often. For some of us, it takes a couple years for it to happen, but nevertheless, it's going to happen. And my question is, are you cognizant of the training and the discipline and the commitment that you're being taught right now, so that when that time comes, you're not slipping up? Does that make sense? Like, everybody has this opportunity to learn something that God is going to use for something that's going to blow your mind. I'm a witness of it, y'all. Blows your mind. But I find that you're only nervous in the situation when you haven't prepared for it. There's only so much that anxiety and fear can do to you when you haven't practiced, when you haven't walked this thing out. I think that's when you see, like, even leaders, when leaders have these great falls, a lot of times it's because they never prepared to be a leader. They were just exalted to the place of leadership, and they never learned the things that build the foundation to sustaining the weight of the role. Does that make sense? And so it's important that we learn to go through the process. We commit and we build this discipline, and whatever it is and whatever path God is taking you on, it's important that we stick to the process, and we learn to cultivate a life of discipline where we are. Because when you get there, it's not so much about the platform versus what it is that you're doing where you are. Does that make sense? The platform doesn't make you who you are. What makes you is what happens before you get to the platform. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah.
I kind of got this quote a while back, and it says, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you prepare right, when the time comes, you'll be ready. That's it.
Say that one more time. What was the acronym?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
That's good.
Are we prepared? I think we're preparing right now. For sure. But so good, Zach. That is so good. We'll put that in the Slack tonight. Amen.
Yeah. Our next opponent is guilt. 600 pounds on contact. Actual weight is 1.5 pounds. Its strengths, your past, mistakes, failure, unforgiveness. Weaknesses, forgiveness.
Unforgiveness is a strength of guilt, because guilt likes to keep you tied. If I could give you an example of what guilt feels like, it's always feeling bound by something, almost like a shadow, like you can never get away from it, right? And so unforgiveness is something that is repetitive. It's something that I would say is perpetual. It continues to bring itself up. There's a lot of moms in here who have had kids, and everywhere you go, try to go to the restroom, oh God, and here comes little teeny bopper. It's like the shadow. You can never get away from it. But when you operate in forgiveness, what happens is it's almost like the sun turns away from the shadow and it weakens it. It doesn't mean that it's not there. And let me say that there's a lot of times in our culture we say forgive and forget. And we talked about this last night and why sometimes it's not okay for you to forget. And Kimani, I want you to talk about why you said it's important that we don't forget, but we do forgive.
I think it's important that you don't forget, just for the main fact of every time you go through something, you learn something. God is allowing you to go through something so you can get something from it. So if you move on and you forget everything, then you forgot how God moved in the situation. And you stop your own growth. So it's important that you do forgive, yes, but don't forget what you learned in the moment. It's almost like when Mama Tina said, she said, it's some sayings like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah.
What does that mean, God?
Yeah, so it's like, take what you need from the situation and then throw out the things that you don't need.
Or another one is, eat the meat, spit out the bone. That's one that they love to say. Or hit dog or holler. Still don't know what that means. But that's so good. I have had, and I think we've all had the biggest issue with forgetting. It's the forget part. And we're just like, why can't I just want to get rid of it. Your memory's it's not trained to do that. It's muscle memory. And it's for safety, it's for assurance. But then I think the best thing about it is, it's for you to, again, always remember how God came in and worked in that situation. Every aspect, even our memories, are for us to remember how God came in and worked that thing out. How he stopped that thing, how he turned it around. And if you forget God when you forget. Does that make sense? I think that's awesome.
But I think it's also to help you for the next time. When it shows up again, it can look like a totally different person, a totally different thing. But because you remember what that was, you'll be like, I know how to handle it. So when it comes to people, when that person comes up again, you know you're in forgiveness. Because when you hear their voice, when you see their face, if somebody talks about them, even like a guy or girl talks about that person you like, you don't have that feeling anymore. You be like, I'm good. I'm good, love, and joy. You can have it.
Love and joy. Love and joy. Yes. That's for Kiana. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. I think we can move on to the next one now. Go ahead, Kimani.
So the next one we got is shame. 700 pounds on contact. 0.5 pounds is the actual weight. The strength is embarrassment, unforgiveness, insecurity, and the weakness is forgiveness.
So would you say that guilt and shame are cousins? Kissing cousins. Close cousins. You know, they're very, very similar. They really don't travel alone. I think if you deal with guilt, you deal with shame. You deal with shame, you deal with guilt. And pride, yes.
Because you remember the feeling of it. So automatically, when it comes up again, you be like, yo, you didn't have to front me out like that. Yeah. I think that's what we, some people on the team, when a coach recommends them and be like, yo, you did this wrong. Some of them can't take it because it's the memory of somebody always telling them no, and all they see is that finger. So automatically they get guarded and be like, you can't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. They start going there and they block what the guidance that they need to keep going.
I think it's important that, like in that instance, you have to listen to the message and not the tone of how it's being delivered.
Yeah. Come on. Repeat that again.
Listen to the message and not the tone of how it's being delivered to you.
So how does that benefit you as a player? Like, because I'm going to tell you right now, y'all coaches be yelling at y'all, and I don't do too kind of the people raising their voice at me. I'm going to be very honest about it. But y'all coaches are not soft and fluffy at all. So how do you do that? Because that's an issue. Like, sometimes we can't get past the tone. Like, hold on, you take it. Why is that important don't throw the baby out with the bathwater or eat the meat, spit out the bone, whatever you want to say. Why is that important?
I think it's important because in order to just tone out how it's being delivered to you, you have to have a lot of self-confidence. Like, you have to know what you bring to the table, and you have to also learn how to be coachable, because it's important to Dang, I just lost what I was gonna say. Yeah. You just gotta be. It'll come back to me. You gotta be coachable.
That was it right there.
That's it though.
I think to piggyback on what he said when he talked about the coach, I think another thing is to keep in mind the intentions of the person.
Wow.
So if I know my coach's intention is not to bring any type of hurt to me, what he's saying is actually to help me, then I'm not going to focus on how he's saying it. I'm focused on what he's saying, and that's all I focus on.
Yes.
And what I would just venture to say that a lot of the communication errors that we have, or the moments of offense, because that's a big one in the church. Offense, is because you never learn the intention of the person. You never learn the heart of the people. You just go every single day. You don't build true connection. The Bible talks about like a friend being closer than a brother. That means I have got to have some type of outside of these four walls. I have got to commune with you and figure out who you are and build a relationship. Yes, Miss Mercy. And so a lot of times we allow, because we got the power over this thing, and that's what we're really trying to relate to you today. We have so much power, and we allow the spirit of offense to come and block off the provision, the relationships, the rest that God is trying to give you through a person. Because understand, we are conduits. We're His hands and feet, correct? Yeah. And so we block off those things because we never get down to the intention of the person, or we choose that everyone's intentions are the same.
Wow, that's good.
That's a big one. And we talked about it here. We're a transparent church. So we talked about how we get into this, we're a don't trust nobody culture. We're a trust issues culture. I think Drake had a whole song about trust issues. His whole album sometimes is about trust issues. And we praise, it's cool to have a trust issue almost. I don't trust nobody. No, I don't, Nah, I'm solo dolo. That was a big one like 2-3 years ago. You know, these are Instagram quotes, I'm telling you. And we love that stuff. Like we speak those things. We create those things out of our mouths, and then we try to figure out why we're lonely, why we haven't built strong connections. Why am I not advancing in this area of my life? Well, I would beg to say that you have a preconceived notion of a past experience, and you put it on everything else. So you can never get to this point of finding out if someone's intentions are for you or if they're not. Goes back to the pride. And these things all work together. They all it's like Pandora's box. You start with one, you get 5 more. How many of us have done that? I know I have. Especially when it comes to I'm not even going to just say church experiences, but just friendship experiences too. One person let you down. Another person let you down. Those 2 experiences for the next 30 years, you never trust anybody else ever again. How silly is that? But we do it. It's real, right?
But you said something about intentions and getting to know that person. Getting to know somebody is having a relationship with them. When you know how they are, how they act, that's just like with us and God. When you already know how it is, when they come up and they shortchange you on your expectations, your feelings won't get in it because I said, I knew it. Yeah. It's okay. I already knew. You gotta have that intimate relationship with them. It don't even have to be deep sometimes. When you start seeing how they act in everyday life, how they act with other people, even with their relationship with God, you'll know how they are. And then from there on, your feelings won't get in it.
So good. And something God was, I don't know what he was doing while I was putting on my mascara this morning, but he was really moving. And I'm telling you, we had the most odd time, you know. And he was saying, sometimes you meet people and what happens is he said this phrase, leverage your expectations. Don't get rid of them, but leverage them. Balance them out. And a lot of times we come in with the highest of the expectation. You can never fail me, Dad. Come on, fam. We do. We get married. Love of my life forever. No. We getting new jobs. This is going to be the it. No, probably it will be something else. It probably won't be what you think it is. It's not going to be perfect. We have these expectations that are unrealistic. And God said, leverage your expectation. And he said, when it comes to being disappointed, when it comes to being let down, look at the person. Take into account the entire person and not just what you want from them. Take into account the entire person. Just like you would want someone to take into account the entire you. I want you to know what I'm going through at this moment. I want you to know what season of my life I'm in. That way I don't disappoint you, because this is what I can give. And he said, when you do that, what happens is I set you up to receive exactly what you need from that person that they can give. That they can give, not what you want from them, but what they can give. And what they can give is what you need. And then when you need something else, I'll send you somebody or something else to do that. But sometimes we come to each other and you have to be the end all be all. Sometimes we come to a church and it has to have all the stops. And you don't take into account where they are, what season they're in, what God is doing, and we only are accountable for the things that we want, and we miss out on the things that we need. Yeah. He said, leverage your expectations. Yeah. When you go to your job, take into account what they may have going on. Leverage your expectations and see what you get. Yeah. When you come to church, take into account where they are. Leverage your expectation and see what you receive. When you go home to your husband, look at them. Take into account everything that they bring to the table. Leverage your expectations and see what you get. I bet you it'll be exactly what you need. Yes. Does that make sense? That's good. All right. That's good. Leverage. I think this is the last one.
Oh my goodness. Low self-esteem. Weight 600 pounds on contact. Actual weight 0.1 pound. Strength. Comparison. Criticism. Ungratefulness, ignorance, weakness, awareness, gratefulness, self-love, acceptance.
Man, I know, it's just so deep.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm going to go to the first one. The first strength of low self-esteem, that comparison thing. It's a big one. We got Instagram. I'm going to tell you right now, I said it on Tuesday night. I saw Cardi B and I automatically wanted that hat, that dress that she had on. Cardi B had on this long, it was just, she had the leg out. And I said, I want that. But the art of comparison, we're so skilled at it. We do it even when we're not thinking about it. Like, ooh, her hair, her makeup, how she looks. And it's not just girls. Let me just not say she. Men do it too. Their strength, their finances. Let's talk about comparison from a male standpoint. How do y'all compare?
Personally, me, like, I'm not blind to the fact that it might be a man that has better things than me, or he's somewhere where I want to be, but I'm comfortable who I am, and I don't really compare myself to anybody. I feel that I know what I bring to the table. I know my weaknesses. Well, some of them I know, some of my strength. I just try to work hard to, what's the word I'm looking for? Strengthen my strength. And one day I'm at the level they're at, or even higher than where they're at.
You work your lane.
Yeah.
So would we say that a cure for low self-esteem is doing what you do the way you do it and not doing what you can't do? I think that's something we prayed the other night as a group. It was, God, let us know what we can do and let us know what we can't do, and be okay with that being exactly how you made us. Yeah. Because I do believe that we all have what we need. In every season we have what we need. We're never not equipped. I love the story of the children of Israel when they actually were leaving basically captivity, and everywhere they went, God dropped something called manna, and basically that was provision. It was just enough, and he said, you eat it, don't leave none behind, don't hoard any for yourself. This is your portion for the day. And every time they went, he gave them more manna. And some of them, of course, were disobedient and saved it because they just didn't think that they had enough. And it's spoiled. And sometimes that's how we are too. God is providing. He is providing. I don't know many of us who really go without the necessities of life. God is always setting up things, but we have this fear of not having enough. Or we have this thing where it's like, I don't know where the next thing is going to come from, so let me hold this. Or this is mine and nobody else's. And so we hoard it as if we don't serve the God of all provision, the God who has enough, who created the enough that you have. And so we hoard the things that we have because we're afraid. But with that, I don't realize, really I'm ignorant to what I have, who I serve, who I am in him. I'm ignorant to all these things. I don't know. And I think that's the thing with the children of Israel. They were just ignorant. God is literally, I mean, the signs and the wonders, you know. I've delivered you out of the, no, for real. I've delivered you out of the captivity. Every single place you go, I'm providing for you, and y'all still complaining. And you still don't believe. You're still ungrateful. You still don't believe. You have this low God esteem. Like you don't know who I am. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not dropping out men and y'all gonna act crazy. That's why I'm not God. But he's so faithful that he continues to do it. He continued to do it for them, and he continues to do it for us. But we just sometimes don't take into account what we have, what's in our arsenal, what we don't have, why we don't need it. We don't even take into account those things. Then we start comparing. Then I start looking at what you got on, what you can do. You can do all riffs and the runs with God. Your tone is so pretty when you sing that I start trying to almost adjust to being who you are and not walking in who I am. That's the danger of it, is the carbon copy that you become when you start comparison, and when you walk in low self-esteem, how you just never get to experience the fullness of you are. I don't know about y'all, who you are. I don't know about y'all, but I want to experience the fullness of who I am. Like, I want to see what she got. I want to know, like, what she going to do in the world. I want to know how she's going to impact communities. I want to know all of that, but I can't do that looking at what you do. I can't do that trying to do what you do either, because you do what you do the way you do it, and it just may not fit me. And that's really how low self-esteem operates. It's always operating in comparison instead of, like Zay said, this is what I have. I'm not looking at the next man. I'm working what I got. Does that make sense, you guys? So I want to, go ahead, Kiana, go ahead.
For criticism, one thing I had to control or had to realize what I do is I always use the word, I am not enough. There's something that I'm lacking. And it's crazy what God just did. He stepped in and he was like, you are enough. When she said it, we have everything that we need. And that's because where we're lacking, God steps in. And that's when you start to see God's glory. Where we lack, he steps in the midst. So and during our weaknesses, we see his strength. So it's not about us. So we are always complete because God is in us.
Yes.